Welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast, where our mission is to educate and empower you to make the most informed, rational, and productive financial decisions. Hosted by certified financial planner, author, and chartered investment manager Michael Isbister, you'll go behind the scenes to uncover the tips and strategies to help you invest smarter, optimize your retirement income, and reduce the amount of tax you pay. Michael is an investment advisor with Fundamental Wealth, a trade name of Harbourfront Wealth Management, an IROC dealer. And now, here's your host, Michael Isbister.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss 15 retirement mistakes you will regret. Specifically, I'm going to chat about the power of learning from others, my list of 15 mistakes to avoid, many of them not financial in nature, a few planning resources to help you narrow the gap, and lastly, as always, a few action items for you to consider. Mistakes are a part of life. I think we all know that by now. But one of the amazing things about this life is that it gives us the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and the mistakes of others in a journey to seek out wisdom to help enhance our lives and reduce stress. Today, I'm hoping to help you engage deeper in thought about retirement and help to address blind spots you may not even realize exist. One of the most fulfilling aspects of my career as a financial planner is that I get to be the sounding board for hundreds of individuals and families as they navigate the complexities of life, family, careers, relationships, and money. Outside of the professional knowledge and experience I have, it is this lived experience of hundreds of individuals and families that help to shape my advice as a financial planner to help clients avoid common traps and mistakes that aren't always financial in nature. So let's get right into it, the 15 retirement mistakes you will regret. Number 1, falling for a too good to be true offer. 3 years ago, a client reached out to discuss an investment opportunity that he and all of his colleagues were pitched at his work. In the pitch, the founders promised 8 to 10% rates of return, practically guaranteed in a secure real estate investment. My client had told me how many of his colleagues were signing over their $500,000 plus retirement portfolios, and he figured he should be doing the same thing because, seeing how his colleagues were doing it and the founders seemed to be credible. After some discussion about the validity of the offer, my client trusted my judgment and chose to keep his retirement nest egg in traditional investments. Fast forward a year from that date, and the whole thing implodes. Investors are left with the keys to decrepit buildings as the founders pulled the plug and left investors in shambles. This kind of thing is way more common than you think, and I urge you not to simply think, that wouldn't happen to me, because it can. Even people that you would consider intelligent can get grifted into these kinds of scams. At the end of the day, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And just because everyone else is doing it, doesn't make it right. Do your due diligence and ask a professional. Number 2, not setting a retirement goal. Setting a goal is the cornerstone of good planning. Without a goal, what are you actually working towards? To take it a step further, envision what that retirement goal actually feels like, not just an arbitrary number. So what do I mean by that? Well, take a moment and actually envision what being retired feels like. What is your dream scenario? Paint a picture of what that goal looks like and feels like. Now, I know this may seem a bit woo-woo to some of you, but I challenge you to try. Here's mine. I'm out at the lake. The sun is just over the horizon and there is a gentle fog lifting off the lake as the sun rays bounce off the water. I'm with my son. He's older now and has kids of his own, but has made some time to go fishing with his old man. We, banter back and forth about who's going to catch the first fish, the biggest and the most. Dad, obviously. The breeze pushes across the lake, bringing with it crisp morning air. I cast out my chartreuse lead head with a minnow attached and watch as it sails into the air, hits the water, and drops to the bottom. I'm smiling. Fish on. Now, most of you probably think that that's a bit strange to do that, but I promise you it will help bring your future into the present and give you perspective of this crazy thing we call life. Now, I'm a big believer in envisioning my future, whether it be before an important meeting, a potential tense situation, or when thinking about me and my family's future. Take a moment and envision what your retirement will feel like. Number 3, claiming your CPP pension too early. Now, shifting gears into something a bit more tangible in nature is choosing a CPP start date. This is arguably one of the most important decisions you'll make. In my experience, many pre-retirees I come across want to take the pension as soon as they can. Well, because it's my money, they say, and furthermore, perhaps they feel like they don't want the government necessarily controlling their money in the first place. However, the truth is that the CPP pension is likely one of the most valuable assets that you will own, and choosing the wrong start date can significantly impact your investments and your ability to retire. Now, this pension is an inflation-indexed annuity and is a risk-free asset not available for purchase privately in Canada. So what does this mean to you in English, the retirement investor? Is that choosing the right CPP start date will give you more flexibility in how your money is invested, greater control of your taxable investment accounts, all while helping to ensure you have a sustainable retirement income for life. If you're curious about your retirement income and what it could be, Google CPP calculator and play around with the numbers. When you are ready to get serious and want to optimize your CPP start date, I strongly suggest you reach out to a professional financial planner who can help you with this decision while creating a truly holistic retirement plan. Number 4, putting your kids first. Sure, you want your children to have the best. I understand that. Best education, best wedding, best everything. And if you can afford it, by all means, open up your wallet. But, footing these bills at the expense of your own retirement savings could come back to haunt you. I have seen this play out only a handful of times, where even after our guidance, parents extend an olive branch to their children. Oftentimes, it's not a one-off help that can jeopardize a retirement. Rather, the continuous aid and support, even when it is clear these decisions will have a material impact on their ability to stay retired. Now, I can sympathize with wanting to help your adult children, especially if they are struggling. Just be careful. If you're not prudent now, you might end up being the one moving into your kid's basement. Number 5, buying into a timeshare. It's easy to see the appeal of a timeshare during retirement. Now that you're free from the 9-to-5 grind, you can visit a favorite vacation spot more frequently. And if you get bored, simply swap for slots at other destinations with the same timeshare network. I mean, it sounds like a great deal. But buyer beware. Buyers who don't grasp the full financial implications of a timeshare can quickly come to regret the purchase. In addition to thousands paid up front, maintenance fees can average north of $2,000 a year, and special assessments can be levied for major renovations. There are also travel costs, which can run into the thousands of dollars when you're looking at places like Hawaii, Mexico, and the Bahamas. And good luck if you develop buyer's remorse in the future. The real estate market is flush with used timeshares, which means you probably won't get the price that you want for yours. And even if you do find a potential buyer, you have to be careful because the market is rife with scammers. Number 6, avoiding the stock market. Conventional wisdom may indicate that the stock market is risky and therefore should be avoided in retirement. However, this thought process blatantly ignores one of the biggest risks in retirement: inflation. Think of it this way. If you retired today and your plan was to spend $100,000 a year, after 20 years of retirement and an average inflation rate of 2.5, you would need to withdraw nearly $165,000 to buy the same stuff you were able to buy with $100,000 20 years ago. And I'm not even including tax in these numbers. The simple fact is that if you're a long-term retirement investor, you need to have stocks, commonly referred to as equities, in your portfolio in order for you to earn money to grow faster than inflation over the long run. Now, while everyone's risk tolerance and risk capacity and timelines are different, you need to understand the potential long-term risks of being too conservative with your retirement nest egg. One way that we help clients balance this risk to create a sustainable retirement income is to create an action plan, optimizes investments, and where they are located across your accounts. Create a tax-efficient withdrawal plan, and most importantly, create an action plan for when, not if, the market goes into its next downturn. Clients who work with us long-term know the changes we will make inside of their portfolio and to their retirement income when the next crisis impacts their retirement nest egg. Number 7, not disconnecting from tech. When we think about addictions to technology, most may think it's primarily a young person affliction. But the truth is, we are all impacted by our use of tech. If you have an iPhone, check out your settings and go to screen time. But before you do, take a deep breath. We all need technology in our life. It's a crucial piece to how we run our lives, and that's just not going away. Alternatively, I think we all just need to be more cognizant of the amount of time we spend and be intentional when it comes to being unplugged. I read a book recently called The Family Board Meeting, and it focuses on how to create lasting relationships with your children for the 18 summers that you have them. One of the most crucial aspects of this book's message was being present and leaving the phone at home. Not on silent in my pocket, not in the car, at home, in a drawer. Even the thought of having your phone in your pocket or pulling it out to check the time can take away and unplug you from being present. And it's true. But for most of you listening to this, you grew up without a cell phone, probably well into your 30s, 40s, or even 50s. So you can remember when you set a time to meet someone and couldn't text them if there were changes, or when someone made a statement and you couldn't check Google to see if it was BS. Be intentional with your time, especially when around friends and family. I promise you the picture, meme, or video that you want to show everyone is far less in value than your time and attention. Number 8, ignoring your health. We're all dealt a different genetic card, and while some health afflictions are unavoidable for some, many are the result of the compounding effect of our decisions over time. Just like investing, the small, incremental decisions we make will impact both our financial future, our health, and well-being. You can spend your whole life saving, investing, and being frugal, but if you're not going to be around long enough to enjoy it, what was the point? Being a part of an advisor team that started nearly 100 years ago with Richard Kilburn's grandfather, Herbert Kilburn, I have had the pleasure in meeting many elderly clients and couples well into their 90s. Other than winning the genetic lottery, these people kept their body and mind moving. They were not sedentary, neither in body or mind. Find the thing you like doing, keeps you moving, and continue to learn and remain social to keep your mind sharp. Health is wealth. It's as simple as that. Number 9, neglecting an estate plan. Estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. Even if your assets are modest, perhaps a car, a home, a few retirement accounts, and a bank account, you'll still want to have a valid will to specify who gets what and who will be in charge of dispersing your money and possessions. Die without a will, and your estate is subject to your province's probate laws. Not only could your assets get tied up in court, possibly creating financial hardship for your heirs, but an absent will if you don't have one, a judge might ultimately award your assets to an unintended party, such as an estranged spouse or a relative you never liked. Retirement is an ideal time to review existing estate planning documents and create the ones you've long ignored. Start with the aforementioned will. Now, you might have had one drawn up years ago when your kids were young. Decades later, what's changed? Are you divorced, remarried, richer? Maybe you prefer your grandkids or a favorite charity to inherit what you originally earmarked for your now grown children. Remember, too, that some assets, such as retirement accounts, can fall outside of your will if a direct beneficiary is named. So be sure the beneficiaries you have on file with financial institutions are up to date. A will is just the start. You should also draft an enduring power of attorney that names someone to manage your financial affairs if you need help or become incapacitated. And your healthcare wishes should, come into sharper focus now that you're older. You should add in an advanced healthcare directive, such as a living will, which spells out the treatment you do and do not want if you become seriously ill, so that your loved ones and physicians can make informed decisions about your care. Number 10, obsessing over your investments. If you are a DIY investor, a habitual BNN watcher, or pension login addict, be careful you do not become too emotionally involved. At a minimum, constantly thinking about your money will make it more difficult to disconnect and be present. And at its worst, obsessing over your investments may lead to poor decisions that could devastate your retirement. When I was growing up, a close friend of mine's father was and still is a financial advisor until recently. Shout out Dudley Daniels. Congratulations on your retirement, sir. Anyway, his saying was, nothing is more likely to make you poorer than your own emotions. This is so absolutely cutting and at the same time so brilliantly simple. Money and emotions are like oil and water. They simply do not mix. The only way to remove emotions from your financial decisions is to have a plan and adhere to that plan, which is often easier said than done. As mentioned earlier, we create retirement plans for when the market dips, not if they dip. So when the inevitable downturn happens, we implement our plans and cut out the noise. Number 11, borrowing against your home. While I agree with having a home equity line of credit for flexibility as you enter retirement, when it comes to actually utilizing this debt, further consideration should be taken to understand its impacts. How will the monthly interest payments impact your cash flow? Do you plan on downsizing in the future? What is the current interest rate? Are there other sources of cash you should utilize first? I think having a home equity line of credit is another great tool to have in your retirement toolbox and can have specific use cases if thoughtful consideration is given to your overall financial picture. Number 12, not considering the impact of inflation. Inflation is one of the largest risks you will need to combat through retirement. In its simplest terms, a dollar today is worth more than a dollar in the future. So if I was going to give you a dollar today or a dollar 20 years in the future, which one would you take? Well, obviously you would take the dollar today and invest that dollar and potentially have $2, $3, $4, $5 in the future. So let's relate this to spending. Let's say you want to retire today at age 55 and spend $100,000 a year from your investments. With the long-term historic inflation rate of 2.5%, the amount you need goes up and up and up, compounded over time. So in 10 years, at age 65, you will need to draw $128,000 from your investments. At age 75, $164,000, and at age 85, $210,000. As you can tell, to maintain the very same standard of living and buy the very same goods and services, your money needs to be keeping pace with inflation at the very least to maintain your purchasing power. Number 13, failing to plan how to fill your newfound free time. navigating retirement is far more than making a retirement plan filled with numbers, graphs, and probability of success calculations. There are two aspects to every financial decision we make: the financial and the emotional. To be blunt, the numbers are the easy part. The emotional aspect to our decisions are often much more difficult to navigate. Earlier this year, I met with a client who runs her own successful small business for nearly 30 years. And for 30 years, this business has been her lifeblood, and she has dedicated herself to her profession and her business. She has made great financial decisions over this time. She paid off her mortgage, maximized her retirement accounts, and even helped out family members when they were in need. For years, I've been chatting with her about retirement, but she just loved what she was doing, so she wanted to keep on doing it. But when we met again at the beginning of this year, we discussed retirement. But this time, I took a different approach. Instead of discussing the numbers, we discussed the emotional impact of passing on her business and taking the leap into the next chapter of her life. By the numbers, she could have retired years ago, but emotionally, she just wasn't ready. Since then, we've chatted regularly about this next chapter of her life, connected her with a retirement transition expert, and encouraged her to speak with other retirees about making the leap. Reaching a goal like retirement can be a long process, and when you finally reach that financial goal, it can be overwhelming. Please do not neglect the emotional aspect of retirement to help prepare your body and mind for this next season of your life. Number 14, not making a plan. As the old saying goes, failure to plan is planning to fail. Furthermore, not having a clearly defined path that includes what-if scenarios like a market depression or recession or the early passing of a loved one will set you and your family up for hardship and stress. At the end of the day, the plan for most is to get retirement right the first time. And in order to set yourself up for success, you need to create a plan that factors in your investments, your retirement incomes, and taxes. You can discover our process by visiting our website, fundamentalwealth.ca. Number 15, not retiring sooner. Don't move the goalposts once you've achieved your goal. For many high achievers, when reaching a goal, especially a financial goal like retirement, the goalposts can often drift and time can pass by. I watched this play out firsthand with a client. He and his wife had been saving for years, and they finally reached their retirement goal. The husband kept delaying his actual retirement date because he wanted more. Fast forward 2 years, and his sibling died suddenly at the age of 62. 1 week later, my phone rang. "I need to retire," he said. When you reach that retirement goal, have a sustainable retirement income plan, and have prepared emotionally to take the leap, do it. You can't take it all with you when you're gone. All right, so that does it for today. Let's jump into your action items for today's episode. Number 1, create a list of real, tangible, and intangible goals for retirement. This can include travel to a specific destination, an experience you've been dreaming about, or an emotional state you want to achieve when you get there. Retirement planning is far more than the numbers. It's important to imagine how retirement will feel like, and this is where visualization can help. Number 2, although I mentioned earlier that the number side of retirement is the easy part, don't overlook the importance of a clearly defined plan that includes what-if scenarios to help you get through uncertainty. The importance of this plan cannot be overstated. If you are ready to take your retirement planning to the next level, I encourage you to visit our website. Okay, so that will do it for today's episode. For the links and resources, please check out the show notes. If you've been enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a review in your favorite podcast app. Be sure to sign up for my weekly Retiring Canada newsletter. And hey, when it comes to your retirement, don't take chances. Make a plan so you retire with confidence.
All comments are of a general nature and should not be relied upon as individual advice. The views and opinions expressed in this commentary may not necessarily reflect those of Harbourfront Wealth Management. While every attempt is made to ensure accuracy, facts and figures are not guaranteed. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Please seek advice from your accountant regarding anything raised in the content of the podcast regarding your individual tax situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.